Alright, so we have some pretty exciting news on the JRPG front. Midori is out here talking about the Team Asano HD 2D and what we could be seeing, and I've pieced together some possible conclusions with a sequel based off of the information that she has listed. So I'm going to first get into what she had to say, then we'll break down if we could see a massive sequel for one of these upcoming games that did well on the Nintendo Switch platform, and some of them are on other platforms as well. So let's go ahead and first start off with what Midori's tweet says. She states that Dragon Quest HD 2D and Octopath Traveler are not the only new titles Team Asano is developing right now. There is another title in development from Team Asano. It is a title that is a sequel to a previous title. That is the key information in this. This is unannounced information, so they have not talked about this at this point. She also goes on to say this, and I am not saying Team Asano are developing Octopath Traveler 3 right now. I mean the ports for more platforms. So we do know that there are Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 ports. We're going to talk about that in just a bit, but the key information here is that she says that it's not Octopath Traveler 3. So that eliminates a sequel to clearly Octopath Traveler 2. Now, she also had some people reach out to her with questions. We're going to go over that to help eliminate some of these other games. One person said, when you say they're developing Octopath Traveler right now, are you aware if that's referring to the Xbox PlayStation ports or if that's referring to a new entry in the series? She states that it is the ports that are being announced soon, which we know they have already been announced, and the sequel is not for Octopath Traveler. Somebody else asks, is it actively still being worked on, or it could be a title canceled during the Square Enix restructuring? She states that the title I am referencing is not canceled by Square Enix. Another question here says, are you saying that they are working on a new Octopath Traveler right now, or are you referring to Octopath Traveler 2? And she states, I am referring to the ports in development. So I think people obviously needed some clarification there. It was pretty clear for me what she was trying to say overall, but she clarified it. So the ports that she's talking about in terms of Octopath Traveler have been announced. We will go over those in just a bit, with Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 coming to various different platforms because it was scattered all over the place. And there's also some other cool updates as well that you can do. So there is some updates for even for Switch owners in Octopath Traveler 2 as well. But let's talk about this because there is a couple different games, or a few different games that this could be based off of Midori's information. Now, I've identified 3 different games. It could be 1, Triangle Strategy 2, 2, Bravely Default 3, or 3, Live Alive 2. Now let's break down the ones from the least likely to the most likely. Now let's start off with the least likely here, and that is Live Alive. Live Alive is a remake of an old Super Nintendo game, and out of the 3 games that we're talking about here, this game did not sell the best. The other games have better sales. From what I understand, I don't think Live Alive has even hit 1 million units, or maybe it's near there. I know that they did announce 500,000 units on the Nintendo Switch system alone. It came out on PC, I think PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, so it's out on some other platforms, but we didn't get any actual sales updates from Square Enix, so that leads me to believe that the game has not hit 1 million units yet, or I think they would have absolutely said it, because when it comes to HD 2D games, Team Asano titles, these type of games, they always announce when it's hit at least 500,000 to 1 million units based off the type of game that it is. Even Octopath Traveler 2, when that finally hit 1 million units, they actually said, hey, it's hit 1 million units. Now we know that Octopath Traveler, the original game, hit over 3 million when it was simply on the Nintendo Switch and PC, but with the majority of that being on the Nintendo Switch platform. So they were happy to announce those sales. So Live Alive 2 seems unlikely based off of just Square Enix's history, based off of the sales. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that game. However, I say least likely, not that it can't happen. Not that it can't happen at all. It can definitely happen. Maybe they want to make a sequel to Live Alive. It's a fun game. It's very unique. It's different style of title, and a sequel could be really cool. But I think if you're looking at it overall, you have to put it as the least likely of the games that Midori is talking about or referencing. Now, next up, I would say Bravely Default 3. but it's kind of tied up with Triangle Strategy overall, because let me first just say Bravely Default 3. The developers for Bravely Default, Team Asano, has pretty much already teased new announcements for Bravely Default, for the Bravely Default franchise. They've teased a Bravely Default remake as well. So maybe it's not Bravely Default 3, right? Because it's a sequel. So maybe we get Bravely Default remade on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms in 2024, or announced this year and comes out early next year. I'm not exactly sure, but Bravely Default 3 is something that could happen. Bravely Default 2 sold over 1 million units on the Nintendo Switch alone. So Bravely Default obviously has a lot of backing when it comes to sales. The fans do love Bravely Default. It's been a multi-million selling franchise for Square Enix if you add up all the different versions of Bravely Default and the franchise just overall. Bravely Default 1, Bravely Second End Layer, the re-release of Bravely Default, and of course Bravely Default 2, all of those combined has sold millions plus. So I do think that they probably are going to do Bravely Default 3 at some point. I just don't know if that's the game that she is referencing. Now, she does not say whether it's HD, 2D, or not. Just Team Asano. Team Asano makes Bravely Default. So some people are already sticking to HD 2D games, although Midori never said it's a HD 2D game. Bravely Default is not HD 2D. It's more of a chibi style. It's got a certain distinct look. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I think it works a little bit better on the Nintendo 3DS than it does on the Nintendo Switch, considering the graphical capabilities of the platform. But I would love for them to kind of modernize that chibi look a bit more for Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever they're going to do going forward, just because I think that that style works for 3DS, but doesn't necessarily completely translate over to the Nintendo Switch, at least not as good as I would have liked for it to be. So maybe they do something with that, but Bravely Default 3 is absolutely a possibility, with even a Bravely Default 1 remake coming as well. Now, next up, and I think this is probably the most likely for the most part, I had it tied, but probably the most likely, and that's Triangle Strategy 2. Why is Triangle Strategy 2 one of the more likely games? Well, it was the fastest seller out of all of them. If you're not talking about Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy sold 1 million units plus in like a few weeks on the Nintendo Switch. It didn't take very long for this game to do that, and it hasn't really gotten many discounts, and it's continued to do okay. Not anything crazy. We haven't gotten like a 2 million sales update for Triangle Strategy. It's only on the Nintendo Switch and PC. It's not on anything else at this point, but this game was reviewed really well. People really liked what Triangle Strategy did. I think that it was a beautiful game overall with the HD 2D, and the combat was super fun. It's one of my favorite strategy RPGs of all time. One of my favorite just RPGs in general of all time. And I think that out of these three games, this is the most likely for one. Of course, the review scores, it reviewed the highest out of all of the games if you're compared to Bravely Default 2 and Live Alive. But also, once again, the sales and what would be the most profitable when it comes down to it. And there is a lot of material for them to work from when it comes to the original Triangle Strategy. There was also a weird shadow update out of nowhere that they just dropped, which released more content and some tweaks for the game, I think a year afterwards. I think sometime in 2023 or so. I know it was well after the game came out from 2022. So the teams were still looking and cooking up some ideas well after the game had released. So to me, the most likely game here that Midori is talking about is Triangle Strategy 2. But we'll have to wait and see. If it is Triangle Strategy 2, I'd be super excited for it, because Triangle Strategy, once again, is lit. It's a phenomenal game. If you haven't played it, go out there and check it out. It's on PC. It's on the Nintendo Switch. You can play the game. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. I really love what they do. The decisions that you have to make, the different endings, it's all really good stuff. So what do you guys think about my theory when it comes to what this game is? You can let me know in the comment section, but I do want to move on to Octopath Traveler like I alluded to, because now this game is available on all major platforms. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC, no matter where you're at when it comes to the modern platforms, Nintendo Switch, you can play both Octopath Traveler games. So let's talk about it a bit. Publisher Square Enix and developer Acquire have released Octopath Traveler for the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 via the PlayStation Store for $59.99 each. Okay, so they are $60 a pop. Now, a bundle containing both Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2 is also available for $74.99. Now, another thing with this is that the Xbox is a bit different, because if you have Xbox One, Xbox Series, and if you have Game Pass, you can pick it up on Game Pass and no extra cost. So if you already have it there, Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, and it will stay there. They've reinserted Octopath 1 back into Game Pass, and it will stay there till I think 2026 or so. So it's going to be there for a while, but if you want to buy them, you can buy them separately. They have the bundles for them. But yeah, I didn't expect it to come in at a full price for Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, but I will say this, they're high quality games. There's also no physical for these games as well. So if you wanted a physical for Xbox, too bad, so sad. If you wanted a physical of Octopath Traveler 1 for PlayStation, too bad, you're not getting it as well. I mean, there is Octopath Traveler 2 physical for PlayStation. I have that. It's great on there. Graphics look great. Everything's awesome. Frame rate's really good. Everything's super cool with it. But there is no physical Octopath Traveler 1. So Nintendo Switch is the only system that actually has a physical copy of Octopath Traveler 1. Very happy that these games are on all the platforms. This is one of the best RPGs released when it comes to a series in the last number of years. It's a great game. It's got awesome combat, and the music is the best. The music's probably a bit better than the actual game, and I'm saying that as a positive because the game is incredible, but the music is phenomenal. Like, I have not heard music this good when it comes to what Square Enix is producing. In my opinion, this is some of their best work that they've done in quite some time overall between Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, and Square Enix makes some of the best soundtracks out there, hands down, and I absolutely love what they've done. They are cooking on Octopath 1 and 2. So to me, these games are worth it if you want to check it out. Some might want to wait for a discount or a deal or whatever the case is, because I'm sure that they'll probably have one later in the year. But it's cool to see Octopath Traveler is finally on multiple platforms. Original, because people were saying, where's Octopath Traveler 1? Because Square Enix released Octopath Traveler 2 on PlayStation, but not the first game. And when it comes to the Xbox platform, they didn't release Octopath Traveler 2 when it launched in 2023, but they had Octopath Traveler 1, so it was kind of weird. But now you can play it. It's available everywhere. And another really cool thing here, which is awesome, is that the Switch version, and all the versions have this, but we got an update for the Nintendo Switch version of Octopath Traveler 2, and we've got some notes here. So this is version 1.1.0, and in this, there's an added new mode, Extra Battles, available after clearing the story, which allows you to battle against the Octopath Traveler 1 cast. They also added some other things, edited the credits, edited various graphics, implemented new tutorial text for update additions as well. So Octopath Traveler 2 getting a nice update, and there's also some other stuff too that's a little bit of a secret. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe if you want to update it, you can see yourself, but there's also some really cool other thing that they added as well. So if you're into Octopath Traveler 2, you already beat it, did most of the content, jump back in. There's some cool stuff waiting for you. So love to see it. Octopath Traveler, one of the better selling AA games for Square Enix, over 3 million units on the Nintendo Switch and PC before these ports at this point. Now with Octopath Traveler 2, you add that in, we're looking at a 4 million plus selling franchise, and maybe that gets bumped up to 5 million with all these additions here of different platforms to where you can play Octopath Traveler 1 and Octopath Traveler 2, so I love to see it. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here, guys, and that is Luigi's Mansion 2. We got a brand new overview trailer. The game is due out June 27th. It's fast approaching, and many new gamers have never played this game. It was stuck in the purgatorium of the Nintendo 3DS. So let's talk about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So publisher, Nintendo, and developer Next Level Games have released a 4-minute overview trailer for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Let's go over what this game is all about if you don't know about Luigi's Mansion, because once again, there's a lot of people who probably only play Luigi's Mansion 3 and don't know about this game. So explore multiple haunted mansions with Luigi and his ghost hunting poltergeist 5000. So progress through diverse missions to retrieve the missing shards of the Dark Moon scattered across several distinct haunted mansions, each with their own puzzles to solve and ghosts to capture. Go for a high rating by using your superpowered ghost hunting tool, the Poltergust 5000, to suck up ghosts and window curtains, and blow air to search every nook and cranny of the chilling yet charming mansions. This spooky fun adventure, originally released for the Nintendo 3DS system, is now visually enhanced in HD on the Nintendo Switch system. Friendly ghosts turned fiendishly sounds like a job for Luigi. The dark moon that hangs over Evershade Valley seems to have a calming effect on the ghosts that reside there. The quirky Professor Egad has been studying the friendly spirits, but when the dark moon suddenly breaks apart and falls into the valley below, the once friendly ghosts become hostile. Luigi must stumble into action and summon his courage to restore the dark moon to its rightful place in the sky. And this game has online multiplayer. Tackle the Scare Scraper together. You and up to 3 players can team up to take on challenges on the Scare Scraper, a haunted building teeming with ghosts and challenges not found in the main adventure. Recruit your fellow ghost hunters to scale the terrifying tower locally or online. Now, the cool thing about this is because for me, anytime that they bring over a Nintendo 3DS game, it's a W, because that system has a lot of awesome games and stuff that people will forget about if they're not brought over, if there isn't something. It's very unfortunate that we can't access the games anymore because of the 3DS eShop closing, and the prices for 3DS games are starting to skyrocket when it comes to physical. So anytime Nintendo can bring over some of these games to be ported over to Nintendo Switch or to Nintendo Switch 2, I love it. I want it because Luigi's Mansion 2, maybe it's not the best game in the series, but it's still a solid game overall. And graphically, it looked incredible on the Nintendo 3DS, and this version on the Switch looks solid. Not as good as Luigi's Mansion 3, but I didn't expect it to be. It's an HD remaster of the original game from the 3DS. So to me, it's great. Bring over all the Nintendo 3DS games. Definitely seems a bit steep overall, so you can decide whether you want to pick it up for that full price or maybe wait for some discounts or something like that. So Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, once again, June 27th. What do you guys think about this new overview trailer with probably the final footage for the game? Now we are going to move into one more topic here, guys, and that is Metaphor ReFantazio. We've got another Atlas exclusive for this game. They've done, I think this is the 3rd deep dive for Metaphor ReFantazio. They are very excited about this game. So let's go over the information here. So Atlas will host the 2nd Atlas exclusive Metaphor ReFantazio June 7th, 2024 broadcast on June 7th at 6 p.m. PT, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, June 8th at 10 JST, but most of you guys will probably be in that June 7th range. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube in English, Japanese, and traditional Chinese. The broadcast will feature the latest information and a closer look at Atlas's new fantasy RPG, Metaphor ReFantazio, with director Katsura Hashino. Now, I will say this because I think at this point it's getting to be a little bit too much, because this is the 3rd deep dive. They had one, I think, last year. They've had multiple trailers, but then they've already had a deep dive into the game that showed a lot more footage and showed off enough, to me at least, to get those special collector's edition. We know the release date of the game as well, so I think now it's kind of borderlining on too much, and I don't want to be spoiled because I'm already sold and they've already shown a lot of gameplay, a lot of the structure and everything. Now, I'll probably check it out. I don't think I'll be able to live stream it just because I have prior engagements that I've got to do, but I will be able to catch some of the Summer Games Fest streaming with you guys. I'll have a pre-show for it because this comes like right after the Summer Games Fest, 2 p.m. PT. That's when Summer Games Fest starts, and it goes for a number of hours. So I'll be able to stream a little bit of that, but I'll be live before for a pre-stream of Summer Game Fest. But I don't think I'll be able to cover this until the next day. So if there's anything interesting or something that I need to cover that's not spoilery or whatever, then I'll definitely cover it for you guys. But yeah, they're kind of showing a lot here, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch the whole thing myself. But for those who want to watch it, or if you're not sold yet, they have it here, the 2nd Atlas exclusive for Metaphor ReFantazio. To me, this is going to be a game of the year candidate type of game. It looks that good in my opinion. So what do you guys think about all the different topics here that we discussed when it comes to what Team Asano is up to next? Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Luigi's Mansion, Metaphor? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.